From the Sunflower Shop, this is the Healthy Approach Podcast. I'm Bryan Bradford. All of us have been told to take our zinc and vitamin C during the COVID pandemic. Some of us are taking additional nutrients like elderberry, echinacea, and astragalus for our immune system as well. With all the different choices on the market, we get many questions about which one is best absorbed. How much should we be taking? How does one compare to another? That is why my guest today is here to break down these questions, which will help you make a better decision for your health. Peter Navarro from Dr. Axe's company, Ancient Nutrition, has been a devoted health enthusiast for more than 12 years and is here to share his knowledge about supporting your immune system. Welcome to the show, Peter.
Hey, Bryan, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. I really appreciate you being on today because, our immune health is on top of everybody's mind right now. So I wanted to bring you on today to discuss some of the top nutrients we all should be using as we enter into this time of especially the fall season, or what's being called fluvid, I think now is the term that they're using. Then we got flu and COVID to worry about. So I want to make sure we're all taking the right nutrients and sort of help explain the differences in some of these nutrients that are available out there too. So I really appreciate you being on today.
I appreciate you having me, and I'm excited to jump into this.
Well, let's start with zinc, because zinc is a hot topic right now. Everybody's been told that we need to take the zinc at this point. So let's start with, why is zinc so important to the body?
So zinc, as you know, is an essential nutrient, meaning we don't get enough of it. We don't actually produce it by our body, and it's one of those foods that's not actually easy to acquire in our diets, believe it or not. Some of the rich zinc foods include things like beef liver, oysters, pumpkin seeds, and oftentimes they're just, again, foods that we just don't get enough of. I mean, not everybody finds liver palatable. Pumpkin seeds is just hit or miss. And then oysters, I mean, as delicious as they are, they tend to be loaded with, toxins and, heavy metals. So it's definitely an ingredient, or minerals, I should say, that we require to, perform our daily functions. Like magnesium, it has over 300 enzyme functions. And like magnesium, I personally believe that it's one of those minerals that we just don't get enough of, especially being men, and helping to support healthy hormone levels, helping to support healthy hair. And then even women can get, lower testosterone or irregular testosterone from not having enough zinc. So it's definitely critical in our overall physiological balance, but also in supporting our immune system. And again, emphasizing in the beginning how much we don't get enough of it and how not easy it is to get through food. It's definitely something that you want to consider through supplementation.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. In fact, a lot of people aren't aware of what you just said, that hair loss is a big symptom of zinc deficiency. It's not just a biotin deficiency. Zinc can definitely be a big part of that. But I agree with you. It is so important for our hormones, for men's prostate too as well. There's so many benefits, but for immune function, it's definitely a must-have in our book. But here's the question. How much should we really be taking each day, and for how long?
So there's different studies that vary, but my general rule of thumb is you want to get at least 20 milligrams a day. I mean, for me, that's like the minimum, especially if you're not consuming zinc-rich foods. I mean, I know that oftentimes people may think, well, I'm eating these certain foods that provide zinc, and to be honest with ourselves, that's usually not the case. So I would say about 20 milligrams, and that's a dose that you can take every day that is moderately safe. There is times when you can definitely increase the amount of zinc that you're consuming. It can go up to 50 milligrams for maybe about a month or so, but I guess it depends on the type of zinc you're consuming as well, just because sometimes when it's in its pure elemental form, it's not always the easiest to absorb, to assimilate, and it's more likely to store in the body in that form versus others.
That's right. And there are so many forms on the shelf. I know when our customers come in and look at the 50 different zincs we have, they're trying to say, always ask which one is best. So really, are there a difference between zincs on the market?
Oh, of course. There's everything from being chelated, which means it's bound to an amino acid. There's, again, the original elemental source. And then there's a newer source, and it's called enzyme activated. So what you do is you enzyme activate the minerals themselves, and that actually helps with the digestion, with the bioavailability, and the absorption of the nutrient, which it's extremely important because people, I think, often forget that it's not necessarily what you take, it's also what you digest. And I mean, with digestion and compromised digestive systems being on the rise, it definitely speaks to the fact that we want to make sure that we're actually absorbing the nutrients we're consuming, because if not, it's not necessarily being as productive as we would like.
So this enzyme active form is really like a whole food base type mineral. Would
Yes.
you describe it that way?
Yes. So we are binding it to a complete protein as opposed to an individual amino acid as you would in a normal chelation form. And then those enzymes act as catalysts to supercharge and activate those enzymes as well, or the mineral zinc specifically.
That's right. So they can really make a difference versus, like you said, people who are taking elemental zinc may not absorb near as much as you would an enzyme active type of zinc.
Absolutely.
Great. So, Ancient Nutrition's doing something different too. They're adding something called Bacillus subtilis, a bacteria strand. I definitely want to learn more about this and why y'all are doing that.
So Bacillus subtilis is a type of probiotic. It's known as a SBO, which stands for a soil-based organism. Now, compared to traditional probiotics, which depending on the source that you're getting them from, it can be dairy, it can be soy, it can be just a different fermentation process, coconut. When it comes to SBOs, as the name implies, they do come from soil. Now, a little backstory, there was a time when we would have access to SBOs on a regular basis, when we had home gardens, people were in their backyards tending to those. When you would go to the health food store and you would go to the produce department and you would see the little specks of dirt on top of the the potatoes and the carrots. And because of, I'm not really sure the exact reason why, but we decided to adopt this like a triple wash process that literally just cleaned everything off of our food, which, I understand there's precautions, but it definitely took away those beneficial microbes, and we don't have access to them in our digestive system on a regular basis now. So Bacillus subtilis is a specific, again, SBO that is designed to support the immune system as well as support digestive function. And compared to other probiotics, it's very resilient. It is able to withstand harsh conditions. If you were to consume it in your mouth, you don't have to worry about the enzymes in your mouth breaking it down, the acid in your stomach breaking it down. It literally can get through your entire gastrointestinal tract to do its job and repopulate the digestive tract. And oddly enough, in European countries, they actually take SBOs alongside antibiotics because of their resilience and because of their ability to thrive in harsh environments. So I'm sure, as you know, Jordan Rubin and Dr. Josh Axe are our co-founders, and they are both big proprietors on digestive health, specifically Jordan. And Jordan is really the mastermind behind wanting to add Bacillus subtilis, just because he understands first and foremost that, yes, we want to make sure that we're taking nutrients like zinc, which we may be deficient in, to help boost our immune system, but we also want to make sure that we're getting beneficial bacteria into our body that we usually don't have enough of in today's society, believe it or not, with all the, like you said, with all the probiotics that we have on the shelf and all the foods that were being promoted wherever we go. There still seems to be this disconnection with our gut. So making it easily accessible to have this powerful soil-based organism added to the products, it kind of takes the guesswork out for the consumers, but it also gives them extra benefits added. And it also helps with the absorption and assimilation of the minerals itself.
Yeah, that's what I was reading in the research about the Bacillus strand, is that it does help with the absorption of other nutrients. So they were even using it for kids with diarrhea and so forth to help with that. There's a lot of great research of what the Bacillus strand does. So I think that's very unique. By adding the Bacillus to your mineral, you got sort of a 1-2 punch going on there of helping your, like you said, your immune system, your digestive tract, and that says a lot. That's a great way of doing it. Let's jump into vitamin C. Everybody knows that we should be taking it. We all wonder about really why. Sometimes people don't know why they're taking it. So let's start with the benefits of vitamin C. What's all the benefits that vitamin C produces?
Well, to answer the statement that you said, people don't know why. Well, if you don't take it, you will probably get scurvy, but I'm just kidding. Right. But In all seriousness, though, vitamin C is extremely important because, as the name implies, the C is actually indicating that it's a precursor to collagen. So vitamin C does support the formation of collagen. It also acts as a powerful antioxidant in the body to help fight oxidative stress. It also helps support the immune system. And one of the big kind of tells if you have a vitamin C deficiency is usually associated with oral health. So like bleeding of the gums and looseness of the teeth, just because there's no strength from the gum lining. And it's definitely an ingredient that we don't get enough of. Again, I just feel like we may take some, but one thing to be mindful of is that most vitamin C's on the market are water soluble. So what that means is when you consume it, it'll kind of go into your body, do its whatever function that it's doing at that time. And then in the time of, and whether it's environmental toxins, physical stress, emotional stress, you're working out, your body will actually excrete the excess amounts. So it's definitely something that we want to make sure that we're taking on a regular basis and restoring our vitamin C levels consistently throughout the day, especially if we're not getting it from a whole food source.
That's right. Which brings in my next question. A lot of people are, now seeing a newer form of vitamin C on the market called liposomal. So there's liposomal, and like you said, there's water soluble. What's really the difference between the two? And is one better than the other?
So I definitely think that they both can have their place. And I was thinking of something funny with the water soluble, but it's not necessarily funny in terms of it can be beneficial. So for example, if you took a large amount of water soluble vitamin C, for example, it can help with bowel regularity. And I know that some people who take, upwards of 3 grams, 3,000 milligrams, they tend to experience the cleansing aspect of it, which again, that's not necessarily a negative thing in my opinion, because if, I know we're going to kind of go off on a tangent, but with bowel irregularity and all that health really affecting our immune system and storing toxins in us, it can be beneficial in that regards. Now, when it comes to the bioavailability and the activity of vitamin C, most traditional vitamin C comes from ascorbic acid. And with the half-life of ascorbic acid, it's actually 30 minutes to 2 hours, depending on the individual genetics, different factors that determine how long it's actually going to stay in your body. So you have to consider you have a 30-minute to 2-hour half-life of a vitamin C that you may or may not even absorb the entire dose that you're taking, because it's about over 500 milligrams. If you're taking over 500 milligrams and you're not having any type of food with it, any fat, it's less likely to stay in your system and flush out quicker, which means that, again, you're now out vitamin C. And if you don't take it later, you're basically waiting a whole 24-hour period cycle to replenish your vitamin C stores. Now, when it comes to the liposomal or the lipid metabolite ascorbate, it's actually really nice because when we bind it to fat, we're actually encapsulating the vitamin C powder in fat. And what that does is it slows the release, which is really exciting. So it's actually in your body for a longer duration of time, but also it helps with, again, the bioavailability and the retention, and also helping your body to recognize it, because that's another angle to supplementation, is if your body doesn't recognize it, if it seems foreign, you're not always going to assimilate it to the body's best of its ability. So it definitely has its advantages in, again, staying in the body for longer periods of time, especially in those higher dosing levels, but also making sure that you're actually absorbing what you're taking.
So liposomal is almost you can say it's like a time release in a sense. It just stays in the body longer.
In a sense,
so,
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, water soluble, like you said, is, that's why I always advocate to people taking smaller dosages more often through the day for the water soluble forms, because like you said, we're going to lose it within a couple of hours. So we want to keep replenishing that vitamin C. But liposomal,
Exactly.
you don't need to take as long because it is staying in the body longer. So you have more of a chance to absorb more of it. That's what I really think why liposomal is growing in our market very quickly. So is there any downfalls to a liposomal though? I mean, any negatives? I haven't seen any. I'm just curious if you have.
I haven't seen or heard of any. And I mean, the only thing that would come to mind would be an overabundance of fat for an individual who may be sensitive. But that, I mean, we're talking like huge dose, just because the amount of lipid present is so minimal, because it's like nanoparticles to be able to encapsulate this capsule and not be like an oily capsule. It would basically turn into a soft gel at that point. So I don't there's not enough fat present to have any kind of disruption. And based on research that I've read more recently, I haven't seen any negatives when it comes to liposomal vitamin C.
And that would not even impact people who don't have a gallbladder either. So I mean, you're still going to get just as much benefits as someone who has their gallbladder, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good. So how much vitamin C should we be taking a day?
So I would say the minimum, we're talking the absolute minimum, I would say at least 250 milligrams. But if you really want to make sure that you're taking your body and your health to the next level and giving yourself a kind of a preventative, I would definitely say at least 1,000 milligrams. 1,000 milligrams, and if you want, you can up it. It's vitamin C is definitely one of those things that you can take a lot more of. There's a lot of research that shows that it can be used in therapeutic dosing if monitored and you're mindful of your body's reactions. So it definitely comes down to knowing your body if you're going to be taking these higher doses, just because it's how we said earlier, going over of too much vitamin C in general, the body will flush out the excess, especially if you're going overabundant. So
that's right. Well, we just know it's so important because it's such a great antioxidant, and to me, it's fairly inexpensive. So a lot of people, think they need to go to these high price items to get some of the same benefits that vitamin C can produce at a much lower cost. So that's what I love about vitamin C. A lot of people forget how easy and cheap vitamin C really can be. But liposomal is definitely the way to go. Now, Ancient Nutrition not only did it in liposomal form, or the lipid metabolite, like you said, but they also add the bacillus strand to that too, right?
Yes, sir. And again, the whole methodology behind that is to be able to support our immune system with, again, like you said, like a 1-2 punch combo, where we're not just giving you one specific vitamin or mineral and saying, hey, at the end of the day. We wanted to make sure that we were putting extra emphasis on the digestive tract, which is also like our second immune system, or our 80% of our immune system. So if we're not taking care of that, we could take all the vitamins and supplements in the world, and it just may not be as beneficial as if we were to take care of our digestive system and then supplement with these powerful nutrients to help aid our body.
That's right. And that's what I appreciate about Ancient Nutrition, is really making things absorbable, food-based, and doing everything in your power to make sure we're getting into where it needs to go. That's really good. Let's move on to other immune-supporting nutrients. Let's talk about Echinacea and Astragalus. One of my favorite herbs, it's been around for a long time. Lots of great research on Echinacea. From your point of view, explain some of the benefits for that.
So Echinacea is really amazing. I'm definitely biased because it is a North American herb. So yeah, but it's one of those herbs that has been used historically. The indigenous and Native Americans actually were some of the first people to actually utilize this herb, and it's kind of a fun fact. When they observed the deer in the surrounding area were eating this, and they started to monitor them and notice the resilience of their immune system, especially around the winter time. So they actually started to consume it themselves. And then in traditional Chinese medicine in other countries, they definitely respect the herb because of its ability to help stimulate the immune system, especially when it comes time to wanting to take our immune system to the next level. And I think that's what separates why one would take an Echinacea versus like a vitamin C or a zinc. It's definitely one of those ones where you understand that you're in a compromising situation. You want to make sure that you're giving your body all of the benefits that you can to support your immune system, and that's where Echinacea would come in. And it's definitely one of those herbs that you don't want to do long term. So anything over a month, especially at certain doses, it can definitely get to the point where it's overstimulating your immune system, and that can be counterproductive as opposed to just being all around beneficial.
So you're saying take it for 4 to 6 weeks and then stop for about how long?
I would say a month on, a month off. Personally, I would alternate.
Okay.
Personally, that's what I like to do. I love to kind of alternate my supplements, especially those ones that can be a little bit more stimulating, especially if they're not necessarily necessary at the time.
Mm-hmm. And is there anybody who should not be taking Echinacea? Because I know there's some controversy on autoimmune issues out there. Like you said, since it is a stimulant to the immune system to some degree, do you think people with autoimmune issues can take it?
So it's definitely one of those things where if you do have an autoimmune disease, you always want to, check in with your healthcare practitioner, just because depending on the level that you are when it comes to autoimmune diseases and the severity, It's one of those things where maybe you could get away with it, but you don't know unless you communicate with your general practitioner to find out specifically for you, the individual.
Yeah. Well, what I love about Echinacea is its antiviral properties. In fact, I just read a recent study from National Institute of Health talking about how they were using it in mice to prolong or actually shorten the duration of flu in mice and bacteria pneumonia. I thought that was very interesting that they're finding in some good research, even though it's animal studies right now. They're seeing great research on how it really modulates that immune system to some degree, as well as stimulating. So it's good.
No, it's definitely always a positive thing, especially when we're taking our advances to the next level, to be able to kind of show on paper and show the data to the individuals like, hey, this is what we're finding. So it's nice.
Yeah, that's right. So what about astragalus? What benefits do astragalus provide us?
So astragalus actually provides a couple of different benefits. So yes, it does help support the immune system, but it also acts as an adaptogenic herb. So what that means is it helps build up your body's resistance to stress. So not only are you getting the benefits of the immune, you're also getting the benefits associated with, kind of de-stressing and allowing your body to build up its tolerance of stress, but it's also great at supporting digestive health as well. So the specific combination that of Echinacea, astragalus, and the SBO probiotic, Bacillus subtilis, you're kind of getting a triple threat right there, because it's definitely one of those ones that it's not for the faint of heart per se, but it's definitely a very powerful combination. You're getting hit with different angles in a positive way, of course. You're supporting the immune system. Again, you're supporting your body's resistance to stress, and you're supporting your digestive health. So it's all around just a fantastic approach.
Yeah, that is a great approach. I like that triple threat. That's a great way to put it, because with that bacillus in there, it really is a triple threat. And let's go to one of my favorites too, is elderberry. Elderberry has been around for a while. I know during last flu season, a lot of people really started understanding the knowledge of what elderberry can provide for our immune system. Can you elaborate a little bit deeper into the benefits of elderberry?
Of course. So elderberry is a very powerful immune booster. It also contains very powerful antioxidants, which gives it the ability to support a healthy response to inflammation. It's also very nice at helping to support respiratory health, and that's always something on the forefront of people's minds, especially athletes. I know that respiratory health is always a big thing, and even looking at the air quality in some of the areas that some of us live in, if you're more on the West Coast, always having additional support, supporting your lungs, supporting the respiratory system in its entirety you really can't go wrong from supporting your body. I'll just say that, from taking things that have advantages of supporting your immune system. So.
And ancient nutrition took the elderberry one step further by fermenting it. Explain, why is that so important?
So we did the fermentation process with apple cider vinegar, and the concept of fermentation is, the best way to describe it is kind of think cabbage to kimchi. So when you're taking the cabbage or you're taking the elderberry and then you're fermenting it, what happens is you're actually, first and foremost, you're prolonging the life because it's acting as a natural preservative, but then you're also getting the different benefits associated with, different types of yeast and different positive strains of bacteria. But also you get to unlock certain cofactors that would normally remain dormant had you not fermented the herb. So you're getting different cofactors, more nutrient density, a longer preserved life, and it's beneficial for the digestive system.
Exactly. And ancient nutrition added the bacillus strain in that one as well, right?
Yes, so, yes, we did.
Every product. That's awesome. No, it really makes a difference for your immune system when you have a fermented elderberry, which is really different than most elderberries on the market. So I like that, as far as really making it easy for the body to absorb it, to get it to where it needs to go, and help modulate that immune system. That's awesome.
No, exactly. And that's the whole thing with the entire products that we're speaking about is, again, we want to make sure that the products are absorbable, that they're, bioavailable, that they are targeting multiple areas, especially the digestive system, because we want to make sure we're taking care of that. So it's really nice to know that we're bringing something to the market that everybody can find some type of, benefits in.
That's right. So can we take all these nutrients together, the zinc, the vitamin C, the Echinacea astragalus, the elderberry? Would you advise taking all those together?
I would advise. I've personally done it, and I got to say, you can definitely tell the difference in the quality of your immune system compared to just taking, a standard, or just taking the vitamin C, just taking the zinc. You can just, the efficacy of it is kind of apparent, especially in your quality of energy, your restful sleeps, just your overall responses to your environment, to different stressors, especially having that astragalus is a positive thing. But one of the ways I like to look at it, if somebody's not sure if they want to take all of them or some of them, the best way to look at it is kind of look at your diet. How's your diet? Are you taking a multi? If you're not taking a multi, then first and foremost, the two things you got to look at are vitamin C and zinc. And I think zinc trumps all of them, just because of it's the lack that we don't have enough access to it through our diet. So making sure that we're getting zinc as the number one. If you're not taking a zinc supplement, if you're not taking a multivitamin, then zinc is definitely where you want to start. And then from there, I would kind of go into, okay, well, if you're not consuming citrus fruits, if you're maybe somebody's on keto and things of that nature, then vitamin C would definitely be the next one that you'd want to go into, just because of those benefits associated with vitamin C. And then it kind of goes into, if you're taking a multivitamin, if you're doing your due diligence on your body and you're maintaining your health, you're eating properly, but you still want to have additional support, and that's when I would go into, the Echinacea and astragalus, and then the elderberry. However, if you're not feeling any type of way, or you're not feeling ill, or you just want to take these as a preventative, you most definitely can, because at the end of the day, you're still providing your body with the nutrients it needs to perform in an optimal way. And that's kind of the advantage of it, is when you provide your body with the nutrients that it needs, or the nutrients that may be lacking, you may notice a big difference in the change of your overall health, whether it's, energy, the calmness of your mind, just the way you feel. So supplementation is always beneficial, especially if your diet isn't as good as it could be.
I agree. And the American diet usually is not that good. So we definitely need the supplementation as far as that goes. Well, Peter, you've been great with the information. I really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you, Bryan. I appreciate you having me. I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to sit with me and allow me to be on your show.
Well, thanks again, Peter. That's going to do it for this episode of the Healthy Approach Podcast. Please subscribe if you like this podcast, and help us spread the word by rating and sharing with your friends and family. If you'd like to learn more about ways to improve your immune system, go to sunflowershoppe.com. That's shop with 2 P's and an E, or visit us at one of our 3 locations in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.